are so excited you're here with us. This is the Business Leaders Series Online, the official Facebook Live webinar series of the Greater Arlington Chamber. And we are thrilled to each of you that continue to join us either live or afterwards. Thank you for your continued support. And as I was just talking with Maggie here, it's wonderful to share all the different news going on within our region with you, either as members of the Greater Arlington Chamber or citizens or people that just want to learn more. So thank you for your continued support of this program. As always, we want to take a moment to thank our first responders and medical workers and all those on the front lines against this pandemic. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of you that are wearing masks and continuing to support our community and care for others. Our grocery workers, delivery drivers, our trash pickup and recycling pickup people. There are so many people that put themselves out there every day in order to keep our community moving forward. And we are so thankful to each and every one of you, as well as our restaurants and small business owners. Everything that you do, we are here to support you. So do not hesitate to reach out to the chamber. Any of our staff, we are here to help you. So without further ado, we have a lot to talk about today. I won't even call it a hidden gem anymore. Downtown Arlington is shining. There is so much that has happened within downtown Arlington over the past decade, and I'm sure beyond that. And we are thrilled to have with us today Maggie Campbell, who is the president and CEO of the Downtown Arlington Management Corporation. She was actually one of the founding people of the Downtown Arlington Management Corporation back in the day, and she's back now as president and CEO. I believe she was the founding president, and they have done so much for downtown, and we are excited to see its growth and see it shine, including Abrams Street remodel is pretty much complete. There's so much fantasticness going on there that we are thrilled to have an update from you today, Maggie. So without further ado, let's welcome Maggie.
Thank you so much for having me. I am excited. And I think the title, The Future of Downtown Arlington, I'm pretty humbled that that's the title because I don't have a crystal ball. And I wish we all did and could read the tea leaves and tell everybody what the future holds. There's so much uncertainty, and as you noted, Britton, our small businesses and their employees, particularly those that are in food and beverage and hospitality, really those frontline people are our most vulnerable in our population. So we think a lot about that every day, and we wake up every day, and our job is to come to work and think about what we can do to make downtown Arlington a better place. And that's been my passion in my whole career, is making cities better places for people. So we're at a very interesting place now with this pandemic and the effects that it has had and will have on cities in the future. And so before I get into my presentation, and I do want to certainly leave time at the end because I think there'll be some interesting response and comments to some of the things that I'm gonna share and get into some detail about. I think that though it's important for folks to know a little bit about who we are and what we do. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, community development based, and we're governed by a 35-member board of directors. And we have a cross section of representation on our board, downtown stakeholders, certainly property owners, but we also have some elected officials. We have representatives from the faith-based community. We have our nonprofits, our arts partners. So, and we work closely with the chamber. But we're different from the chamber. Sometimes people will say a downtown organization is like a chamber, but just for the downtown. But we're not a membership organization. We have 2 contracts for services with the city. We provide economic development services in a 3-way contract with the city and UTA and our organization. And that contract's been in existence since the beginning of the efforts to bring downtown to life. And then the second contract is to manage the Business Improvement District, which is a financing mechanism that was put in place with all the property owners paying an additional assessment because they want higher level of services. So we provide things like marketing and economic development. We do beautification, we do some security. We're going to be getting involved here in the next couple of weeks, getting banners up on the new streetscape on Abrams Street, and then going forward, we'll manage those banners. We do downtown programming, we do partnerships, and we've got a lot of activities currently underway, and I'll have an opportunity during my presentation to perhaps reference them and talk about how they tie back to what we think the future of downtown Arlington really is all about. So let's start with the slide presentation, if you don't mind, Britton. So we are part of a international organization called the International Downtown Association, and we focus a lot on urban areas and cities. And I think it's important to really start at the beginning and say why our downtowns is so important. And you know, when half of our population lives in cities, and when people have a relationship with their city, I don't know, the word's not very well known, but the love of place, we all feel it. So you know it when you see it, and there's a lot of that in Arlington. So we have to understand that cities are important, and they've been the foundation of civilization since the dawn of history. Next slide. So I want to cover some key questions today. What factors are going to leave cities like our city more vulnerable or protected? Next slide. How are the cities and communities going to be reshaped? Next. And then how can we best prepare to reopen and recover and thrive in the future? Next slide. So history has shown, at least our historic pandemics that have occurred, cities after pandemics flourished. Think about New York City in its heyday in the 20s, even the 30s, 40s, even with the Great Depression. Cities were the epicenters of art and culture and commerce. And it's interesting now we're in a different place, and it's not a coincidence that San Francisco didn't have nearly the case numbers as New York did with this pandemic. And when you start to unpack that, it's because only millionaires can live in San Francisco. And you know, we're going to get into that a little bit when I talk in the future about what some of the trends are, because equity and access for everybody is going to be something we need to think about in the future if our cities are going to be great again. Next slide. So large urban areas, you know, we are fortunate. We're part of that category of people who can work remotely and isolate safely using delivery for services. Next slide. But in that same kind of place, you've got frontline service workers, 30 million of them nationwide, who have to use transit, who have to get out in public, and who have to work those frontline essential jobs. So this pandemic is really reinforcing the differences between rich places and poor places. Next. So there's going to be challenges, there have been challenges that have been brought forward. And what we are understanding is the things that are going to help transform and bring about more social equity and urban resiliency are going to be all about how well we harness technology, how well we innovate and adapt, and how well we cooperate and collaborate with each other. Next slide. So this virus will reshape our cities, suburbs, and rural areas. Next slide. The question is, how do we redesign our city life so that we're constantly thinking about achieving equity and access for all? Next. So some of the forecasts that we're hearing, and at the end of our presentation, we've provided a number of reading resources. And so if somebody's interested academically in some of these topics, we've got a wealth of resources to share with you. But certainly the superstar cities that are firmly established, that are tech hubs, those are going to come back. Smaller communities, suburban areas, people leaving big cities may have opportunities to attract both business and residents with this remote work new paradigm. And we can all hope that maybe some cities will get some reprieve from their affordability crisis so that there is more choices of housing available in dense urban areas. Next. So some of the trends to watch for, and our staff and our board is thinking a lot about, you know, where do we go in the future and how much of this is temporary and how much is permanent. And there are a handful of trends that are absolutely going to be with us, and we're going to have to learn to adapt and modify both the way we do our business at Downtown Arlington, but how our businesses are going to have to adapt. So we all know e-commerce is here to stay. We're going to have some casualties. There's some kinds of businesses that just don't have a product or service that can adapt. And that's part of the uncertainty and part that's been the scramble. And we've seen so many examples in downtown Arlington where our businesses have gotten creative and they're partnering with each other and they're figuring out how to do streaming or delivery. But it's a challenge. We're going to have to figure that out. Telecommuting, new normal, except for those essential workers. And customers more and more, it's becoming the new normal. You just expect instant delivery and that last mile delivery that every business is going to somehow figure that out. And then the virtual experience economy is certainly here to stay. But because people can't necessarily interact in large groups, the virtual reality and augmented reality technology may be how people connect in the future. And I think something we all need to keep our eye on is this trend, and certainly more and more voices chiming in that housing is a right and access to fresh food is something else that's important. It's interesting, in Paris, they're talking about addressing all of their neighborhoods. They want all of their neighborhoods to what they call 15-minute cities. And what the mayor means by that is, he says, if you live in a neighborhood, you shouldn't have to walk or bike more than 15 minutes in any direction to get the infrastructure and the goods and the services that you need. So that's something to think about as we go forward. Next slide. So the pull, so there's this push and pull now, and we don't know which way the economy is going to go. We don't know which way trends are going to take us. But the suburbs and the rural areas are attractive now because of remote working, because people are fearful of mass transit and concentrations of people. And folks really are looking for, and you see it happening now with how strong home sales are up exponentially the last couple months. Lake cabin sales, there's no inventory anywhere like that in any of the cities, because people want those private amenities like backyards and play areas. And so you're going to see a degree of rural gentrification, I think, over the next couple of years because of this pull. Next slide. And then the push, of course, is that, as I mentioned, those rock star cities and those tech hubs, they're going to survive. And when you can cluster high tech and finance and media and entertainment, they all feed off of each other. And that's where innovation and creativity really happens. And so we're thinking a lot about that. We've got this major university here. We've already had a lot invested in our downtown in live music and digital recording. We've got the Kirk Franklin studio here. We've got what Alan Patchy is working on. Are there opportunities to do more of that and to bring more concentration of that into our downtown? Because that proximity and that walkability is what's going to be desirable in the future. And public space is going to become increasingly important, not just for a place for people to recreate, but for people to just get outside who live in crowded apartments and who live in some of the neighborhoods that don't have access to good public space. And I think, whether we like it or not, we're going to see more people commuting if their jobs are in other cities. The good news is pollution is down and congestion is down. And the pandemic is going to give environmentalists a platform to hopefully bring about new technology and innovation, because we're seeing some real benefits from all of us leaving our cars parked in our driveways so much. So, but I think there'll be some real dynamics that will stay. And then, of course, the new normal. We all know outdoor patio space is where people want to be. So we're working with our downtown restaurants and bars. We have several folks that we're working with to try to expand their outdoor patios. We offer a storefront grant program, a matching grant through the Business Improvement District to property owners to provide physical improvements that improve the value of their property. So we're really trying to think about and engage with as many of those stakeholders and think about how we can use this as an opportunity to provide more space for more people. And we are going to have to think about how we use public and open space. Letitia Takel, the new executive director for the Levitt Pavilion, has had to change her plans probably every 48 hours for the last 3 weeks, trying to figure out, are they going to have concerts? How are they going to have concerts? How are they going to keep their people safe backstage? The Levitt Pavilion is such a tremendous asset. We are going to figure out how to bring programming back this fall, social distanced, and whether that's the Levitt concert series, as we all know and love it, or whether it's some other kind of programming so we can start to get comfortable being back out in public. Between that beautiful park and the new Abram Street improvements, downtown can be a destination for wellness, for enjoying the outdoors. So we're really thinking a lot about that as well. And then we really have to protect our arts and our creative economy. Our organization was fortunate enough at the beginning, before any of this started, that we received a grant from the state of Texas to do a shared arts feasibility study for our cultural district. So that is about halfway through, and we were able to modify the scope to provide some COVID response to the arts organizations. So for instance, we have some webinars coming up. We have a webinar, free webinar on Tuesday. You can get information from it on our website. But it's a webinar to teach people how to do streaming. And it's for our cultural partners, but we have opened it up to individual artists in the community as well. And then again, just this new normal, and all conversations really need to find a way to address this need for social equity and diversity, because if we don't fix that part of our cities that have been challenged, and we don't make a place that's accessible for all, we're not going to be able to thrive in the future. But I think we are, and there's a mandate, and can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. These are some of the references that we wanted to share, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or elaborate on anything that I've said. Overall, I am optimistic long-term about the future of cities and about what can happen with downtown Arlington in the future. I think the uncertainty and the part that we all don't know is getting to recovery. How do we get through this? How do we get to recovery? And then how do we thrive after recovery?
So before we ask you questions with everyone, we truly appreciate you and your team and this PowerPoint and everything that y'all have continued to do to bring downtown Arlington to this shining space that it is. But there was this pandemic that just kind of hit right towards the end of that plan of everything you guys had going on. And I want to commend you on behalf of the chamber, our staff, and Michael, for everything y'all have done to step up. There are so many different responses y'all have put together, and we are so thankful for that. So would you take a minute just to highlight like Downtown Delivers and everything you did to ensure that the downtown businesses could continue to thrive?
Thank you. We were so lucky and blessed that we got a new website launched in mid-February, and we got our businesses trained in how to use it. And that platform allowed us to pivot very quickly in March when all of this started happening. The Downtown Delivers platform really focused on those businesses that, particularly food and beverage, that were doing the takeout and delivery. And it helped so many of our businesses, and it kept the identity alive out there for downtown Arlington. Some of the other things that we've participated in, of course, cooperated with our partners, the city, the chamber, the CVB, in mass distributions. And we are constantly reminding people to respect each other and wear the masks. The order helps now in making sure that that's actually happening in all of our downtown businesses. We also organized a restaurant rally in cooperation with the Texas Rangers when they were doing the concerts in the car. And again, just trying to keep downtown top of mind. That was a fundraising, charitable partnership with Mission Arlington. So we also got all of our restaurants working and making donations to Mission Arlington and getting the community to come down and rally around their hometown favorites. We put together a bunch of promotions for all the graduations going on and cross-promoted that with all of the venues that were hosting graduations. The other thing, another project that I want to mention is we have been working on this for a number of months, but it's kind of coming together now, is a walkability study that we did in partnership with UTA to look at kind of the edges of campus and how can we come in and address the gaps in infrastructure and some of the key things that are missing, whether it's a crosswalk here or lights here to make something feel safer and better. So, you know, going forward, thinking about making public spaces great and making downtown walkable, all those things that are going to be attractive to people in the future. We have to continue to kind of finish our downtown and finish those details. So we hope to be bringing forward some recommendations and or funding solutions to implement some of those things from the walkability study. And that was a fun project too, because we got to engage with a whole bunch of the students who we really feel like are the future of our downtown. So we love engaging with the students and hearing their ideas and want them to take ownership in the city as well.
So the other thing, thank you for all of that. And just to touch on what downtown has going on, if you as a viewer now or live or afterwards haven't had a chance to go walk downtown, I highly recommend it. In fact, on Downtown's new website, they've put together a mural tour so you can walk through and see all the new murals that have gone up. Which kind of broaden the spectrum of creativity as we know it. You know, not all of them are necessarily Arlington focused. They're just artistically there and interesting. And you can walk through all of downtown. The new Abram Street update is absolutely beautiful. Are there any other things that are going on visually with downtown that you want to share with us, Maggie?
Well, I mentioned that we're working with the city to come up with a banner design. And I think that's going to have a lot of impact when we get those installed, hopefully within the next month or so. And we do continue work with property owners and businesses. We have someone talking to us about a new mural at their business. And we have about 5 different businesses looking at improving their storefronts. So we don't have anything to share yet, but that's kind of an ongoing process. And just really looking forward to the Abram Street dedication. I don't think the date has been announced yet, but I do think it's going to be in early August. And it's just really nice to see the street coming together, the traffic back open. You know, so many of our businesses were impacted by that construction over the last 2 years. And we were so excited about seeing the street reopen. So that street is going to bring us some new traffic that will help support downtown going forward.
And we're all very excited about that, especially that the official announcement. You can go walk Abram right now. It is absolutely stunning for all of you watching. I highly recommend it. I have the pleasure of driving on it every day. So I am thankful to have that construction gone, but it was worth the time just to see how much they really could elevate that street. So we have had a few questions come in just from people viewing. For example, one person asked, they loved the restaurant rally that you did with the concerts in your car. So do you know if moving forward, you'll be doing that for the brand new announced AT&T Stadium drive-in movie theater? I realize that may be in the works. Everyone give her grace. They just announced that, I believe, yesterday afternoon. Or if there are any other fun events going on in downtown, like urban markets, etc.
We really right now are waiting to hear what the rules are going to be going forward. Not being able to gather huge crowds is a bit of a conundrum for those of us in the downtown development and activation business, because that's what we do. We love bringing people together. Of course, downtown is the home of the state's largest 4th of July parade, and it's not going to happen this year. And that's the sacrifice we're all going to make to stay healthy and keep each other safe. But that's such a big part of our culture here. And someday it will be back. But until then, we've got to try to figure out how to do things differently. To answer your question, we're not involved in that new drive-in announcement that was just made. I believe that is part of a national tour that is happening. They're going to a lot of stadiums, and I think that they are also will be partnering and working with Texas Live, because they'll be open. They are open now, and we'll be doing concessions and such there. So we're looking. I mean, as I mentioned before, working with the Levitt Pavilion and the Parks Department, and thinking about what can we do to bring the Levitt lawn to life, but do it in a way that's socially distanced. And stay tuned. Our website is a wealth of information. It's downtownarlington.org. And we're very, very happy with it because it has a searchable directory. Every single downtown business has the ability to build their own website presence on. They can have their own page on our website. And many of our small businesses do not have their own website. So it's a real value. And the website also has content added to it every week with updates from what's going on with COVID to what's going on with events. And we love hearing back from people as they play around on our website and discover things about downtown, and would love to hear back from any of your listeners, any ideas or suggestions they have on ways that we can continue to improve it.
Well, and your website is absolutely stunning. I've had the pleasure of using it for so many different opportunities. And, you know, as a company that also went through a website update, we know how challenging it is. So we appreciate that y'all took that leap. It's a great website for everyone watching. I'm going to go back a little bit to what you said about really working with the Levitt and celebrating that space, to point out something that happened back in May that you really spearheaded, which was so fantastic, where we saw across our country people lighting up buildings like the Empire State Building blue. And, you know, Arlington may not have the Empire State Building, but we wanted to take that opportunity to light something blue in honor of our medical workers. And it was you who thought to light up our dream sign, because our medical workers are enabling us to keep our dreams alive, because they're keeping us safe and healthy during this unprecedented time. What was it like for you to go through that moment and to kind of be the proud owner of that idea, and then to see it come to fruition when it came to so many different people coming together to get that space? And then we had all the American flags. It was such a beautiful space that you were able to create with this one idea.
Actually, I think that's just the way things tend to happen in Arlington. It didn't take much to make a couple phone calls and get people involved, people like Paul Folks, who just sort of take it upon himself to do good things in the community. So we were very proud to be able to provide that kind of symbolic support for our healthcare workers. I have to tell you that I'm going to admit it. We have been technically challenged at the Dream Sculpture keeping those lights on. We can't figure out who keeps turning them off or whether the infrastructure keeps blowing. So, you know, those are some of the details that we worry about every day. You know, we've got to get out there and make sure the lights are working. Now that you brought it up, we actually have Paul on speed dial because he's actually working on that right now for us. The other thing I did want to mention as well is the work of our organization could not happen without all of our great volunteers. And we have a committee structure, and I'm going to give Britton some credit here too, because you've been an active member of our marketing committee, and our marketing committee worked on our website, and you rolled up your sleeves and helped us. And, you know, we have so much work to do. We couldn't possibly accomplish everything without our committees. And so several of our committees are board only committees, but we also have committees where our downtown partners and downtown businesses can volunteer and get involved. So if people are interested in joining one of our other committees, we have a beautification committee. Our cultural district committee welcomes all of our cultural and art partners. And then we also have a pretty active marketing committee. So we love all that support and really want to credit the volunteers for making so many contributions.
Well, and the spirit of Arlington, and, you know, to use the Chamber's tagline, it's, you know, together we succeed. We always roll up our sleeves, like you said, and we work together as a team. And the Chamber has such a strong partnership with you and your team. And we're thrilled to also be located in downtown Arlington and to be a part of this space, and to see the ingenuity and the innovativeness of this group. The mayor, for example, brought up how Randy Ford converted his parking lot on the eve of St. Patrick's Day into a full-blown drive-through so people could order food and pick up food, and really, you know, use downtown Arlington as an example to other businesses of how you could pivot quickly. We have had a few additional questions come in, and that is, how are you and downtown businesses handling the mandate with masks? And do you think things are moving in a positive direction? We all know we want to prevent the spread of this disease, but we also want to encourage people to go to small businesses. And with this mask mandate, I think people will feel safer because everyone in every store is wearing a mask. So just what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I agree with you, Britton. That was, even as an individual, that was some of what was frustrating when you would go out into a store, into a restaurant. There's no certainty. And, you know, at least this makes it fair for everyone. So, you know, we were hearing from some business owners that they didn't feel like they could mandate that their employees wear them because the customers weren't wearing them. But now it's equal for all. Again, we just really emphasize that it's about kindness and respect for others, even if you don't believe that any of this is a big deal. And apparently there's people out there that don't. Just do it to respect your fellow citizens who may not feel that or be able to resist, being exposed to this as much as somebody else does. I do want to pick up that you talked about the spirit of innovation and the creativity that our small businesses have responded to. And this theme of innovation and creativity is such a part of our whole experience downtown. It's part of the authentic who we are as Downtown Arlington. And a big part of the reason for that is it's fueled by this amazing university. So we have all this amazing entrepreneurship and innovation coming out of UTA. And they, in fact, have a new initiative that they're leading to create a center for entrepreneurship and economic innovation. And we will be partnering with Chamber, City, UTA to support that. One of the dreams is to create an incubator downtown where we provide a place so that small businesses and startups and people who are immigrants and have a great idea, or who came through the university system and want to start their own business. We want to be that kind of place to foster that kind of creativity. So I think you'll hear more about that and the downtown experience going forward.
Well, and we are all so excited to see that entrepreneurial space grow and to continue to see the innovation of downtown and our whole city grow. The other part of downtown that I find really interesting is that just over the past, forgive me if it's been longer, but about a decade, there's really been a huge growth in living downtown, especially with the new Main 7 luxury townhomes, something we've never had downtown before. There's a brand new apartment complex that's, hopefully almost complete here on Abram. I saw them install some bricks over the past few weeks on those front facades. And then there's also some potential new developments that are going to go in on Front Street that include more shopping. What do you see coming down the pipeline in the future as downtown becomes not just a place where you can visit and work, but also a place that you live and you're there every day?
Well, I think that, going back to something that I mentioned, this idea of a 15-minute city, when you have this amenity like a university, and then you have the city making investments in walkable infrastructure, and you have the development community responding to the market opportunity and building mixed use products so that people can live and then go downstairs and find the new cool coffee shop, and they can go to school and they can go to work, and they may not ever have to get in their car, or they don't have to go very far. And I think that is a real strength for us to build on. And with our proximity to the airport, and we're sitting in the middle of this huge regional area, I think you're going to see more housing infill for downtown. And it's certainly part of our vision that it become that kind of a place.
Well, we're all very excited, and just what we're seeing now is so fantastic that as it continues to blossom and we see this gem continue to grow within the city center, especially with all the arts that have gone, I know we've touched on it, but just the sculptures and the interactiveness of everything going on, and just seeing people run around and play in the lawn. Even during this pandemic, it's sometimes been hard to get outside or find a free space, but just walking around downtown has been such a great way to ease that mental stress and take a break from it all and go look at these fun murals and everything going on, or take a picture in that beautiful sculpture in front of City Hall made of all the mirrors. It's been a fantastic joy to get to know downtown, as somebody that gets to work here every day. I'm out of questions from our viewers. I'm going to keep scrolling through, but a lot of praise to you and your team of everything that you're doing for innovations, for the mural tours, for your website especially. A huge shout out from Catalyst Creative Arts. They have been a huge proponent of you on this webinar today. One person did ask if downtown will ever get a grocery store, but I'm not sure we're prepared to answer that question today.
You know, I'll take a shot at that. A grocery store is probably our number one prospect for an economic development project. And before the pandemic, we were talking to a couple different independent grocers. It's been that is a one category of business that has not figured out how to downsize and get into urban areas unless they're in really big cities like Chicago and Denver. So the big grocery stores just haven't figured out how to go small and go urban. And there are a number of regional operators that have 4 to 5 locations that are more of a boutique grocery store. And we've been trying to talk to them and been trying to talk to them. And the challenge is the land is so expensive here and the deal doesn't work without some kind of help. And the grocery stores, think about all the places in Dallas and Fort Worth that are building walkable neighborhoods. They all want a neighborhood grocery store. And other cities are being very competitive with economic development incentives. And we don't necessarily have those tools. We have the tourist district. Now, there are projects that will be coming up out of the ground. Brian Dotson has been approved to do phase 2 of Urban Union. So the other side of Front Street will be finished with 4 new buildings. And we expect him to break ground this fall on that project. And those buildings will be mixed use with residential above, right by the railroad track, and a blend of business and entertainment and retail on the ground floor. There is a project that has not been announced yet on the corner of Division and Center, the empty lot next to Babe's Chicken Dinner House. There's going to be a new project built there and a new building and a new business coming. So there are things still happening and investments still happening downtown. And you know, we are very excited about some of that, you know, in the future. And, you know, we want to still attract other developers. And I think that, again, our location, the adjacency to the university, and this spirit that we have of working together and this vision we have, you know, the city went through a pretty comprehensive process a couple of years ago, and the downtown master plan was adopted. And that really codifies and identifies this vision that we all share for downtown. And when you get a solid plan together that everybody agrees to, and that's what we're all working toward, that's what kind of provides the certainty that you need to be able to recruit businesses to come into an area, to be able to give them some assurance that if you come in and make an investment, that you're going to be part of this shared vision. So we continue to use that downtown master plan to sell the vision, and, you know, continue to believe that we can attract a grocery store. Is it going to be easy? No. Is there a real market now for grocery stores? And are grocery stores one of the businesses that are doing very, very well right now? Yes. So there's got to be an opportunity in there, and we're going to keep after it because we think our neighborhoods are in downtown are technically a food desert. And this is part of this inequity issue that we have to correct. We have more than our fair share of dollar stores in the city limits of Arlington. And some of our neighboring cities have outlawed the dollar stores because of the drain they place on the food deserts and on the poor communities. So I'd like to believe we could land a grocery store. It probably won't be a traditional grocery store, but it'd be a good fit for Arlington when we get it figured out.
Well, we're all excited for that day, and we're excited to hear that the economic development is just beginning, and that y'all are looking not just a year in advance, but 10, 20 years in advance to this flourishing downtown. And we're excited to see that growth and go on that journey with you. So the last question we always ask our guests is, you know, what's your kind of final hurrah message to our small business owners and the people of downtown, especially? There are so many thriving small businesses in downtown during this time. What's your message to them as we continue through this unprecedented time?
I think right now what I can say is hang on. You know, I so much has changed here in the last 12 years, and it's amazing how much has been accomplished here, how much has come together, the synergy I think we've hit the tipping point and passed it in terms of having a vibrant downtown. We still have more work to do. So I just say to everybody, hang on. And, you know, if there's something that we can do to help, if you have an idea of a way our organization can serve, I wish, again, I had that crystal ball and I had the answers, but we are hanging on with you.
Well, and we appreciate that message, and we're here to support you as well at the Downtown Arlington Management Corporation, as well as all of the businesses in the downtown area, as well as all of Greater Arlington. So Maggie, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been really interesting and eye-opening, a look into, for lack of a better word, crystal ball of downtown and what y'all have planned. And it's so exciting to see it all go down. So we're thrilled for this opportunity to be on this ride with you as you and your team continue to help downtown grow and shine bright. And we appreciate your time today.
Britton, thank you so much. And thanks to the Chamber and Mike Jacobson and all that you guys do, and the always collaborative spirit that we approach projects with together. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to each of you today that joined us on Facebook or that are watching after the fact. You can learn more about Downtown Arlington at downtownarlington.org. They made that website really easy for you. So it's downtownarlington.org. Like that mural tour we talked about, they have a fantastic blog where they talk about ways that you can put your whole night together, all the events that are going on at downtown and all their individual businesses as well. Businesses are still open and they are doing their very best to meet all of the CDC guidelines and everything going on in Tarrant County as well. So please make sure to support your downtown Arlington businesses. Thank you again for joining us today. Join us next week. Next week's going to be Tuesday and Thursday. On Tuesday, we are going to have a Women in Business Roundtable hosted by the Women's Alliance, where we're talking about barriers that women overcome in business and how we can better advocate for ourselves and each other. And then on Thursday, we are going to have a Resiliency Through COVID-19 roundtable hosted by the Latino Business Group, where we talk with an ER doctor as well as the deputy fire chief and an additional person. So please make sure to tune in next week at 1 p.m. Also, just a few quick PSA announcements. Thank you to Scott Parsonen in the comments. The PPP has been extended if you would like to apply. Also, the Tarrant County Small Business Grant Program has been extended to Monday, July 6th at 6 p.m. So make sure to apply. That is a grant program. It is not a loan. Make sure to get that filled out. It will be due again Monday, July 6th. Also, make sure to watch the fireworks show put on by the City of Arlington. You can park in the AT&T Stadium parking lots or any of the Globe Life Field or Globe Life Park parking lots to watch the fireworks display. It will start around 9:30. To keep social distancing, they moved it there so that everyone can stay parked in their cars, so we can all celebrate the 4th of July safely and continue to celebrate our wonderful country. So thank you again. I hope each of you have a lovely and safe 4th of July weekend. Remember to stay kind and stay safe, and together we succeed. Have a great day.